Jimmy, welcome back to Real Vision.
Thanks for having me, Ash. It's always a pleasure.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. I'm so excited. This is our first time on camera together. I've interviewed you before, but I was off camera that time. It's a pleasure to be on camera with you. I should say, Jimmy, you're one of our favorite guests. You have one of the broadest scopes of anyone in the Bitcoin space, from the philosophical to the pragmatic, from the spiritual to the technical. This is like you span it all. And with that, I should say, you are the author, one of the co-authors, I should say, of the recently published Thank God for Bitcoin, the Creation, Corruption, and Redemption of Money, now available in hardcover, paperback, Kindle, and Audible edition.
That's right. And it's a book focused on the moral argument for Bitcoin. And it came out of a bunch of meetings that we did over Zoom during COVID. So I feel like it was very productive given the unproductiveness of that whole time.
Yes, very much a difficult time. You did a wonderful interview or conversation, I should say, with Robert Breedlove, aired on Real Vision, actually fittingly enough, last Christmas Day, December 25th.
Yeah, and he's one of my co-authors. So we had talked about a lot of the stuff that we talked about on camera before. And, getting into the depths of the morality of money and how it really is a way in which the state can take away money without direct taxation. I thought it was an important part of the moral calculus that we have to actually do in order to figure out where to invest and so on.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to make that case. So many people discuss, potentially outside of the community, discuss Bitcoin as though it's this almost amoral entity. And for you to have that context and that view from a perspective of morality, I think is a fascinating one. Which brings me to a question that I've really wanted to ask you. So much of the foundation of how you think about Bitcoin in the world is talking about value as kind of an abstract proposition. What does that mean to you? Bitcoin is a store of value and value itself.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because it's a metaphysical concept, right? The whole idea of value. There is sort of this Keynesian fallacy that value is intrinsic, that it exists on its own without any humans involved or whatever. Value is subjective. It only has value according to what people assign it. And in that sense, it's an abstract thing. It doesn't necessarily exist in the real world, as it were, value qua value. Right. Instead, what value is it's the utility that other people can derive out of it. So water is obviously valuable to people because it helps them live. Air is also valuable, but they're also not very scarce, and therefore it's not very expensive. It has value in the sense that it's essential for living or for doing or for entertainment or whatever, things that people might want to do with it. But scarcity plays a big role in value. And that's something that money definitely brings to the forefront as you think about what value actually is.
Right. One of the questions I've always wanted to explore with you is about your background, your journey into this space. Tell us a little bit about how you got to be where you are today.
Yeah, so I've been a programmer all my life. I got into computers back when I was 9 years old. I didn't even know what computers did. I just knew I wanted one, and I was one of those people. Yeah. And my dad got me the Commodore 16 back when I was 9 years old. And this is not the Commodore 64, which had all the games. Commodore 16 actually only had like 3 games on its platform, and one of them was Visual Jack Attack, which I played all the time, and then the other 2 were text-based games. So having immigrated as an 8-year-old to the United States, my English wasn't that great, so I couldn't play the text-based games. I spent a lot of time on the computer trying to learn how to program, and my mom found me some people to teach me how to program and so on. And that became my career, after college and so on, where, I did, something like 14 different startups, in my career. Many of them did very badly. A few of them actually went public. So, I did okay in that realm as a programmer. I got into Bitcoin back in 2011 after reading a Slashdot article. And if you don't know what Slashdot is, it's a website for tech geeks like me, where you read about various things like a new Linux distro is out, or here's a new release of Python or something like that. And on I think it was February of 2011, almost exactly 10 years ago, where I saw a headline that I couldn't really parse, and it said Bitcoin has reached dollar parity. I was like, what does that even mean? Like, is Bitcoin some I don't know, like how could it be reach dollar parity? What does that even mean? So I read about it and learned about what that was, and eventually really got into it in 2013 when I started contributing to open source projects that were related to Bitcoin and so on. But that was the sort of like genesis of everything. And during that whole journey from 2008 to 2013, I was learning about Austrian economics as well.
Right.
Especially after the 2008 bailout, where something like $850 billion was pumped into the economy. And I couldn't understand why that needed to be the case, or where that money came from, or anything like that. So I really started looking into, the economy or money and how it all came about. So by the time I heard about Bitcoin in 2011, it sort of clicked. I understood it immediately because I was primed to do so from all of the economic things that I had learned since 2008. And as a result, it's, as you were saying, it's become sort of like almost all consuming. I've gotten into Bitcoin in every aspect that I could. I'm teaching developers. I'm also doing speaking engagements, talking about like how it helps poor people in different countries, talking about the morality of money. I've thought about this a lot, it's become I guess my life's work in some ways.
Yeah. We should also say that you are the author of Programming Bitcoin, Learn How to Program Bitcoin from Scratch, which is an O'Reilly book. For people who are on the financial side, O'Reilly books are like the hardest core tech publishing books. They're the place where really serious programmers go as a reference to understand their craft. And it is a very high compliment that you are the author of that book.
Yeah, and that was something that I approached O'Reilly with as a result of doing my 2-day course where I teach programmers all about how to program Bitcoin. And, that's how I got my start, but it's obviously expanded into a lot of different areas, including, like the Little Bitcoin book, which is an educational book for people that don't know anything about Bitcoin to, thank God for Bitcoin, which is sort of like intermingling my Christianity with Bitcoin, which I totally did not expect, but it sort of kind of happened, and thank God that it's happened. It's been quite the journey for certain.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to check out the full interview and more only on realvision.com/crypto. It's 100% free. Sign up now.